The City of Neenah is pleased to provide video recordings of City Council meetings. Neenah residents can get information about City Council meetings, City Committee meetings, meeting agendas, and other documents from the City website, www.neenahgov.org. Neenah residents can express their opinions about city issues by contacting the mayor's office, contacting their city alderman, or completing the electronic feedback form on the city website. All public portions of the meetings are recorded in entirety and are not edited.
All right, good evening, everybody. We will begin with the roll call.
Council President Steiner,
Here.
Alderman Bruno,
Here.
Erickson,
Here.
Here. Present. Here.
Paulnow,
Here.
Ellis,
Here.
and Weber.
Here.
Alderman Paulnow, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I mean, that last time you did it.
Right, thank you. First order of business is the appoint Colette Sizer to the Sustainable Neenah Committee for a 3-year term expiring December 2029, and appoint Alderman Newman to the Committee on Aging for a 1-year term expires of 2027. Any objection to unanimous consent? Seeing none, motion passes. All right, the approval of minutes of the June 17, 2026 Common Council meeting. Any objection to unanimous consent on those minutes? Seeing none, moving along. All right, we will now open up the public forum. Speakers must state their name and residential address and are allowed 5 minutes to speak on any topic, excuse me. So feel free to come on up. Just give me a second. I'm going to keep the 5 minutes on my phone. We're working through. All right.
I brought handouts.
Okay. Yeah, by all means, go ahead. I'll do that before I start your time.
A few.
So each speaker will get 5 minutes, and then it's just a conversation. I mean, not a conversation, but just a 5 minutes of you speaking, and then we'll address those issues on council after that.
All right. My name's Danny Flesnick, and I am the independent candidate for Winnebago County Sheriff. I reside at the 600 block of Cleveland Street here in Neenah. This week, we went to Flock's website with the intention to learn more about the end-to-end encryption that representative had stated was being used. I'm going to quickly explain encryption in the simplest terms possible. Imagine you want to mail a letter to your friend across the country. You put the letter in a magic locked box, and only 2 keys exist. When you send it, the carrier can't open it, the driver can't open it, only the 2 people with keys. That is end-to-end encryption. Now imagine, instead of the mail truck has the lock. While your letter is traveling in the truck, nobody on the road can steal it. However, once it arrives at the post office, the truck is unlocked. Now the employees can read it. That's encryption in transit. The post office puts your letter in a locked filing cabinet. This is the 3rd scenario. If someone from outside the company steals the filing cabinet from the building, they still cannot read your letter that you wrote. That's encryption at rest. Encryption in transit protects against hackers online. Encryption at rest protects someone from stealing hard drives. And end-to-end encryption protects against the company itself being able to read your information. They're all very different. There's a list of concerning statements here, which I've labeled and numbered in red. The first one, it's not end-to-end encryption. That is a true statement. 2, data is encrypted in transit using TLS 1.2 or above. A TLS 1.2 is the same thing that you see in the URL bar, that's a little padlock. That's on almost every website. That's standard. 3, data is encrypted at rest using AES and 256 encryption. Yes, again, this is an industry standard that is used at your bank, in your MyChart, on your Blink camera system. 4, Flock retains a small percentage of images for algorithm training, when we were told by the representative that it was only metadata retained. 5, these images are stripped of metadata and identifying information to maintain privacy. What are they training their bots to do? Removal of identifying data does not exclude tracking children or age range, gait and posture, skin color, gender identity, and reproductive status. That all being said, we are all aware a mistake such as not updating firmware on a camera is enough to make them vulnerable. Now, there are rising concerns within the cyber community that this metadata can be sold on the black market for nefarious purposes. I wasn't able to go on and check myself because I don't go there, but people do. I have 2 primary concerns and a little TLDR of the remaining ones. 1, increasing visibility of children's school routines, custody exchange locations, shelters, vulnerable neighborhoods, and paths to school could significantly lower the effort required to locate victims of human trafficking. And second, perhaps the most observable and real-world problem is domestic violence. An abuser can identify where a victim has relocated to, where they work, where they attend therapy, and what time they are not home.
We got 1 minute. Just want to give you a
I'm almost there. Witness intimidation. So this is the rest of, I could go on for this for a very long time. Witness intimidation, police officer safety, judicial safety, political intimidation, burglary, organized crime, finding pharmacy shipment routes, armored vehicle routes. Knowing that someone leaves home every weekday from 7:10 a.m. to 5:45 p.m. is really valuable intelligence for criminals. In closing, Flock has lied and will continue to lie to everyone. It's ambitious in gathering this data, and its own AI bot is willing to perjure itself and lie about it. They will come here and lie to your faces.
time. Thank you. All right.
End of the contract, please.
Next.
Good evening. My name is Nathaniel Miller. I live here in Neenah at 981 Grove Street. I'm also here this evening to speak about my opposition to the continued Flock contract, as well as to the means by which this body has decided to take up this topic this evening. There are a lot of issues involved with Flock. Among them, I think really a large one is the idea of trust. I think probably everyone, regardless of where we stand on this issue, would say that this is very powerful technology. There are risks and there are benefits to it. I think we could all agree to that. Some of us might weight those things differently, but I think those things are held in common. As citizens in this town, as well as residents in the area, we are asked to extend our trust that the risks are being mitigated as well as possible, and that the benefits are worth the risks. We are being asked to extend our trust. Flock has demonstrated time and again, with outright lies, with deception, with creative phrasing, with manipulation, with the decision to send salespeople rather than technical experts to answer your questions, that they are not a trustworthy partner. Flock has not earned my trust. I will apologize for speaking about rather than to you, as you are in the room, but I'm addressing my comments here. In public comments, Chief Olson has been dismissive of citizen concerns on this, and when asked if he had any concerns about police officers in other departments accessing our cameras, he said that no, that doesn't concern him at all, despite the fact that a former Menasha police officer is facing felony charges for doing that. We have since heard from a domestic abuse survivor whose abuser has access to City of Neenah flock cameras. And maybe he's changed his tune, and if so, that's admirable. But from the public statements I have heard, he has not earned my trust to believe that he understands the concerns and is mitigating them as best as possible. As members of this body, you know that this is a topic of significant interest to citizens, but the decision was made to add it to the agenda at the very last minute, entirely within a closed session. There are topics and discussions and all sorts of things that require closed session. I am not insulting the idea of closed session in general, but the decision not to have an open session announced with enough time that the significant citizen interest could have allowed people to come and make their opinions known. The decision not to have an open session where we were told just the general overview of why it is that closed session is needed. That is a wild choice to have made. That is not how trust is earned. I am saddened and I am disappointed as a constituent, as a resident of Neenah, at the decision when looking at a topic that centers so heavily on trust to act in a way that is, at best from where I stand, poorly envisioned, if not shady or outright deceptive. Trust is the core of this thing, and this body on this topic, on this evening, has not acted in a way that has earned my trust. And I don't know how you can act us to trust this technology when no one involved in this process, unfortunately, at this moment, including a number of people in this room, have not acted in a way that deserves that trust. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Hi there, Jordan Hansen, 423 West 12th Avenue in Oshkosh, but I spend a lot of time here in Neenah, and I've been before other group parts of this body before, talking about flock issues. I've stayed opposed to flock cameras, but I have some new information that is, new as of this week. On Monday, Supreme Court ruled in Chattree versus United States that when law enforcement officials use a geofence warrant, in this case, the warrant instructed Google to provide location data for cell phone users who are near a particular place during a specified time. So a broad, just who was here at that time sort of a thing. They ruled that that constituted a search per the Fourth Amendment and that they needed a warrant to do that. Basically, in this case, I'm kind of paraphrasing a summary here, but writing for the majority, Justice Kagan emphasized that an individual has a reasonable expectation of privacy in records about his cell phone's location, and police intrude on that constitutionally protected interest when they demand the information, even though only for a limited time, and from a third-party tech company. In other words, while a police officer could take a picture of me in public with my cell phone and be like, well, we have evidence that his cell phone was there, going to the third-party tech company and saying, you need to provide his geolocation data based on that cell phone constitutes a search which requires a warrant. Flock does not require warrants. There hasn't been used in that capacity, and it's potentially not constitutional to do that going forward in the future. Again, this is new as of Monday. No, the case does not specifically talk about Flock or other ALPRs, but the argument has been you drive in public and you consent to drive in public, so you consent to go past these cameras and anybody could be taking a picture of your license plate. Well, anybody can theoretically track your cell phone too, but it doesn't make it constitutionally protected for law enforcement to broadly use that data, even if it comes through a third-party vendor like Flock. The second thing I want to talk about is this closed session about flock cameras. I understand that there are reasons to have closed sessions. If you're talking about a legal issue or something like that, employee privacy, there are very valid reasons for that. Unless you guys are planning to sue Flock, which please be my guest. I'd paint me, tickled if that's what happens here, but I don't think that's what's coming out of this. So I can't imagine why you'd have a closed session to talk about flock cameras. This is something that a lot of people have been coming to the meetings repeatedly about. It potentially legal issues with having a closed session on this. My understanding is there are only certain things you can legally have a closed session about because, after all, you're discussing things that matter to us, the public. So I question that. I hope you guys change your decision-making on that. I won't be able to stick around that long for that part of the meeting, but I hope you guys change your tune on that. You could potentially be facing legal repercussions for it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Carrie Tetzloff. I live in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, but I'm a business owner that serves Neenah, and I'm here every week, driving by flock cameras. So I wanted to come and speak to you tonight. I came tonight to urge you to end your use of flock ALPR before the end of the contract. I attended the committee meeting at which flock reps recently presented and was so disappointed to see they are still sharing inaccurate information about their product. This time, instead of misleading statements about heat maps, they doubled down on false info about end-to-end encryption. Many important points were shared at that meeting, voicing concerns about privacy, data security, personal security of veterans, safety risks from domestic abuse survivors or immigrants, and many more. I won't repeat those, but hopefully you guys have been able to review those comments. A concern I have about Flock that wasn't shared at the committee meeting is that Flock recently has hosted training for law enforcement on how to speak to city councils. That means a third-party vendor is hosting trainings for law enforcement whose salaries are paid for with tax dollars, teaching them how to speak to officials that we elect to defend technology many citizens oppose. In this training, they share a document called the Opposition Handling Playbook. I learned all of this from Flock's own website. I'm particularly offended by the word playbook. This isn't a game. This is our privacy. This is not a company you want to do business with. Tonight, as you deliberate the Flock contract, I urge you to deliberate as much as possible in open session. The community would like to hear you all speak on the record about Flock cameras and this technology and the contract, for that matter. Also, if you ditch Flock like neighboring communities, I urge you all to review the citizen-drafted ordinance that has been shared with you before selecting any new surveillance tech products. Citizens depend on you as the legislative branch of your city to help prevent irresponsible deployment of warrantless mass surveillance tech. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name's Tanner Mann. I live at 833 West Harris Street in Appleton. I was in this chambers for this type of meeting 16 years ago. Try to convince you guys to allow bow fishing in parts of the city. It's so nice to be back. I'm a Neenah High School grad. I care a lot about this topic. A professional software engineer. I just want to quickly recap what's happened with this. On June 9th, there was a Public Services and Safety Committee meeting where we were supposed to hear from Flock representatives to get hard questions answered. That representative was a no-show, and Neenah's police chief was left to field questions on his own about technology that is quite frankly hard to defend. But in spite of that no-show, the committee was promised we're going to bring in technical experts from Flock to get these hard questions answered next committee meeting. And as many folks on this body saw in that next committee meeting on the 23rd of June, they sent 4 essentially salespeople. There was one product manager present who, to her credit, is embedded with a team of software engineers, but she's not a technical person herself. But we heard primarily from their director of public trust and technology. That's his job title. As was previously mentioned, he lied to the committee, claiming that Flock uses end-to-end technology, or end-to-end encryption in their technology. That's a really, really important claim to hone in on, and that's false. They made the same false claim to our neighbors in Oshkosh, and it was pointed out to them. They continue to do it. It's a really strong promise if you can offer that in your product, but they don't. And I understand in Flock's legal response to the city, they admitted that they have the decryption keys required to read customer data. It's an admission of that lie. And yet their wording in that legal letter didn't come right out and say it. So I understand you're going to be discussing the cancellation. Maybe the city is scared that they might get sued by Flock. Itty bitty Neenah, bullied by this big tech company. I mean, that'd be awesome if they sued Neenah, because in my view, you would have a slam dunk countersuit for these false claims that they made to legal bodies in the city. Quite frankly, I think you should sue them anyway and get the money back that the police department spent on this tech. I guarantee Chief Olson was misled about this technology from the get-go. I guarantee he thought Flock didn't have access to the information. All of our resident data collected in the system is going to stay right here in Neenah's control. They use language to manipulate law enforcement and city councils into believing that. We've seen that over and over again. And when pressed really hard on that, they don't have good answers. So no, I don't think Flock is going to sue. I think they'd be foolish to, and that this would blow up for them in a really bad way. I don't think you should have any fear of legal reprisals from Flock, no matter what the contract says. If you're ultimately, for lack of a better word, too afraid to proceed with ending payment to Flock, like Appleton did. Appleton had 2 years left on their contract. If you're too afraid to do that, just cover the cameras. This is not a company that has any trust or good standing in the community for those that know how its product works and have been paying attention to the claims that they made in public. Appleton covered their cameras yesterday.
30 seconds.
I think if you bow to the whims of this company, to the police department that may or may not be still misled on this, it's really going to harm public trust. It's going to harm the image of the police department, and that may complicate efforts to get this technology back in a more stable, more ethical way in the future. Thanks.
Thanks, you. Any other open forum items for the? All right.
Not talking about flock cameras. Susan
You
Kruger.
want to pull that microphone down? There you are.
Susan Kruger. I have commercial property, 1233 South Commercial Street in Neenah. It's more of a question for the city as to what the intention is for all the businesses that the city of Neenah has purchased on Commercial Street. I have the corner property on Peckham and Commercial. 4 odd years ago, I was looking for a new place. I have a salon in my building, plus tenants. Looking for a new place because the city had told me I couldn't put my salon in my house because we would like to have consolidated things and just had one, our house and salon in one. So I was told I couldn't. And then a couple months ago, I was told I could do that. So we're trying to consolidate. And in the meantime, I purchased the property that my commercial property is in. So to the north of me, city bought, well, it was taken over by the state, and then the city got it for Shillebrett's old laundromat. And then now you purchased the heating cooling company. So there's, in essence, 3 lots to the north of me that are empty. Then we've got on the next street, or the second street, on the same side of the street, you've got the, do your own car wash that was purchased by the city. Vagrants were in it, they got them out, I get that. And now in the old Harns Barn, now apparently there's development in there, and the city of Neenah purchased a property kitty corner to me so they could put a throughway onto Peckham Street. So I guess I'm just wondering if you can enlighten me a little bit more, if I didn't do research and maybe it's out there somewhere, of what the city of Neenah is trying to do with the south side of Neenah, because things that I see or hear for the downtown area, they're all like, oh, we need to bring everybody together and we need to bring people to downtown, when some places the south side is considered downtown, but we're not included in things. And one of the things, I could probably come up with more, but one of the things in the building I'm in, there was some kind of like after like evening thing where they had like vendors and things. I was not the building owner at the time, and I pay taxes for my property taxes for the business. Nowhere was I notified of this. So it's like there's a disconnect somewhere in the city of Neenah where I'm told, okay, all businesses have to pay money for permits and for whatever you want to do as a business, but then we're not included in things. So it's that disconnect that I'm wondering, what is the city of Neenah considering to do with all these properties on Commercial Street? Obviously, you want to sell them and develop them, but we're just sitting on them. I mean, some of the properties have been years. So it's that I'm questioning. Thank you.
Welcome. All right. Any further open public forum items?
My name is Nate Welch, resident of Neenah. I was at the last meeting for Flock as well. I'd just like to make the point, or I guess kind of ask a question.
Nate, can you get your address? Sorry.
Yeah, I'm on Margio Drive.
Thank you.
Yeah. What would you guys say this is? Just a cell phone? Or is it also a voice recording device, a camera, an internet-connected computer? There's various things it can do depending on what app you put in it. And where I'm going with this is it's the same thing with the Flock cameras. And the way they go around trying to justify these to all the people is they're just ALPRs. They only look at license plates. Maybe that's the same spiel they tried to give the chief over here when they sold it to him. But the reality is they are AI-powered object-detecting cameras that can detect license plates and any other number of things, in addition to tracking people. On the point of Flock representatives lying, they've also said time and time again it can't track people. And then when someone brought it up in the last meeting, Max, or whatever his name was, the guy from Flock, said, oh, actually, well, there's a mode in the camera where it can track people. It's turned off by default, and someone accidentally got in and turned it on you know, the example that was online. So that right there is proof of the lie. The camera is capable of doing it. It can do it. It's just a matter of if it's turned on or not, amongst other things. He even admitted that it can tell someone's immigration status, which I guess is probably the PC way of saying their race. And then he also said reproductive status, which I guess is probably the same thing, PC way of saying someone's gender. None of those things I don't think are in a license plate by itself. So I guess just where I'm going with that, that's more evidence to use as ammunition towards them that they lied about something if there is some type of contract that Neenah is worried about breaking with them. The other thing I'd like to comment on, like a few other people have said, is there's only 4 or 5 reasons that something could be in a closed session. And if this thing about Flock falls under one of them, I think we all deserve to know what it is before we leave here today. That's all.
Thank you. All right, any other people want to speak in public forum?
Scott Becker, 1061 Green Acres Lane. I just wanted to talk about South Commercial. Yeah, I think the city needs to sit down with the businesses just like we did in the 80s and develop a downtown plan and basically look at, do we do bids? Do we basically get some of these parcels? Because when I've looked online for these parcels that the city owns, you can't find them. And some of them say they're not for sale. So we need to redouble our effort for South Commercial. I think it can be a very vibrant area of our community, much more than it has been in the most recent past, much like it was in the 1950s through the 1980s. Thank you.
All right. Any further forum items? All right, seeing none. Moving on to mayor council consideration of public forum issues. At this point, if there's any council member or myself that wish to address anything that was spoken to, we can speak in those comments. Not a back and forth, but Alderman Paul.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to address, going back to process, just so everybody's clear, the decision for an agenda is put together by the mayor. It's not voted on by the council. That's in our rule book. The mayor puts that together, and this was put on, as I understand it, based on his recommendations and his conversations with the city attorney. That's the process. So when people think that we maybe all agreed, that's not how that works. It's based upon suggestions from department heads or certain people. I personally agree with you. I don't think this should be in a closed session, but I think you should know that because I'm an elected official. So I just wanted to say that.
Any other comments on the public forum issues? Alderman Steiner?
Yeah, I just want to make a comment, and I appreciate the questions in regards to closed session. I know there's some stuff online that shows, there's like one or two reasons. There's actually multiple reasons as to why we would go into closed session. And the end result of our decisions and outcome has to be made public later on. And I want to clarify, I understand in this world today, there's a distrust in government and anyone who's an elected official. The people that are up here are just citizens like you are. I mean, we probably came to a meeting at some point just like you did, and that got us interested, and eventually we just ran for office, and that's why we're up here. In terms of the reason that we're going into it, and I wouldn't mind if Attorney Rashid maybe just provide just high-level reasons as to why we're doing it. In the 5 years I've been doing this, I've never gone into a closed session where it was this illicit reason or something that was untoward. In fact, I've been in several meetings where somebody accidentally kind of just veered into another topic, and either Attorney Rashid or Clerk Nagel or another alderperson said, well, that's not why we're here, and the conversation instantly stops. So you can believe that or not, but I want to reassure you that when we're going into it, it's for a good reason, and we're not doing it for smoke and mirrors. When we come out of it, we still have to provide the end result of that discussion, and there are valid reasons as to why we go into it. But if Attorney Rashid, if you wouldn't mind just giving a high-level reason as to why we're doing that today.
Sure. Thank you, Council President Steiner. The reason is stated just as the public notice indicates, and I can read it for those who didn't. The Common Council may convene into closed session pursuant to WISSStat Section 19.85, Sub 1, Sub E, for the purpose of deliberating or negotiating the purchase of, let's drop down. This be the... it's B. Common Council may convene into closed session pursuant to WISSStat 1985-1G to confer with the city attorney who will render advice concerning strategies with respect to pending or impending litigation involving the city, specifically regarding the flock camera contract. That language was drafted by myself and Clerk Nagel. It is consistent with Chapter 19. I know that there was information, I think, provided even as recently today on social media by one of the aldermen, which is not correct in terms of whether or not the council has legal authority to go into closed session for this purpose. This topic has been discussed at least 3 public meetings that I know of. I couldn't be here last week. I was on vacation, but I've heard all about it. And so certainly there is concern. Well, we'll get into the rest later, but that is the reason. President Steiner is correct, and Alderman Paulno is also correct that there are multiple reasons for going into closed session. The agendas are set by the mayor, oftentimes in consultation with myself as city attorney and the clerk. So nothing hidden here. There may be litigation, and we're going to discuss that. Some of you even pointed that possibility out. So that's what we're going to talk about. We'll see what happens.
Then one addition, I'm wondering if Director Nyforth could maybe give an update in regards to commercial.
Absolutely. South Commercial Street is a business district that the city is, has been putting some efforts towards to improve. For about 15 years, the city and the city's CDA has been acquiring properties to facilitate redevelopment and remove blight. Typically, it's done if there's an opportunity, if a building is for sale, perhaps maybe nobody else has purchased it. So, the city or CDA might come in and purchase it, maybe remove the building if it looks blighted. There's also been situations such as the Shillebretts that was mentioned, where the state says, hey, city, do you want this property? It's in our possession right now. So the city gets it. Right now, some of those parcels that we do have, they're a little too small to redevelop on, so a lot of times we try to acquire adjacent properties to make a larger developable site for a developer. The city created the South Commercial Street redevelopment plan probably about 10, 15 years ago, and we also have the South Commercial Street master plan that was done in the past 5 years that staff is following. With the reconstruction of South Commercial Street last year, we really are ramping up our efforts to facilitate redevelopment in the Commercial Street corridor area, and we actually have been meeting with a few businesses here and there, and some of those discussions have been, maybe we're not starting a bid right away, but maybe it's just conversations over coffee and talking through what everybody is dealing with. We're looking at potential opportunities for some amenities that will hopefully support business development, and we do have a multifamily 50 units coming in downtown too, which will, or excuse me, in the South Commercial Street corridor area, which will add a lot of other folks to that area. So it is a focal point for our department that we are working on, and as a business owner, we are certainly you'll probably be hearing from us within probably the next 6 months or so, as it is something that we have in our work program that we're going to be working on closely.
Okay, thank you, Director Nyforth. I just want to, in the short time that I've been in this chair, I've been in a lot of meetings with the Community Development Department, and I've been able to see first how hard they are working to get those things. Been a part of some of the business owners that have come in and discussed ideas and wants and desires. So I was pleasantly surprised in seeing the activity. There's also a sense of when we have property and there's negotiation and there's vision and there's dream and those types of things, sometimes those things aren't made public right away because of the negotiation part of all those things. So it's not for this lack of not wanting to share information, it's timing and making sure that if there are certain deals or certain things that we have to talk and discuss with council, those are brought up. And so I am pleased with the progress we have on South Commercial. When I first started as a council member, that was a big discussion about what we can do to bring that. On the campaign trail, people were like, enough of downtown, I want to hear about South Commercial or North Commercial. And so those messages are heard, and I believe that community development is doing a job that is admirable and working through it. So, any other comments? Yes.
Thank you. I'd like to elaborate on what the mayor said. If you have any questions on South Commercial Street, please contact one of your aldermen. Please contact Director Nyforth, or you can contact the mayor. And all of us are willing to take your call and answer any specific questions that you have. We would be happy to meet with you or talk to you at any time. So if you have specific questions, please reach out. I know all of us would be happy to discuss South Commercial with you.
All right. No other comments? All right, moving on to the consent agenda.
Mayor.
I'm sorry, Alderman Defferting.
Thank you, Mayor. In regards to South Commercial, I certainly hope that we continue to have some public forums about this in the future, because I think it's clear for some business owners, I mean Susan included, that a lot of these properties are, and the fact that the purchase of these properties seem to be news to them. So somehow there was a rift in communication. So I just hope that we continue to have in the future that we're going to be continuing to have public forums so that we can have a little bit more conversation with the constituents in South Commercial, so that we can keep that trust, with the city of Neenah. Also in regards to flock cameras being in closed session, I think that in this particular case, if something is in closed session, then the proof has to be put by the people who want to move it into closed session, and I hope that proof is provided today. If there isn't any proof provided today, then, well, we're going to have that conversation later on in this agenda. But I just want to make sure that the onus is on both the mayor and the city attorney to prove that this belongs in closed session, and that's where we need to have that trust with our people. So, thank you.
Any further discussion? All right, moving on to the consent agenda. Committee recommends council approved city employee Greg Howell to purchase the city Dodge Durango VIN number C4R JFG 1EC 592276 for the Kelly Blue value of $6,380. Proceeds of the sale to be deposited in the city general fund. And any objection to unanimous consent? Seeing none, passes. On to reports of standing committees. Public Service Safety Committee, meeting of June 23rd. Chairman Weber.
Thank you, Mayor. Reporting out on the Public Services and Safety Committee meeting of June 23rd, 2026. Minutes can be found on the city website. There's 6 items. The first item, committee recommends council approve the bid from Best Enterprises LLC in the amount of $164,104 to provide demolition services for 135 Millview Drive, and recommend the Common Council approve the bid from Advanced Asbestos Removal Incorporated in the amount of $7,520 to provide asbestos abatement services at 135 Millview Drive. And I so move.
Moved by Alderman Weber, seconded by?
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Linsky. Any discussion? Alderman Defferding.
Thank you, Mayor. I voted against this on the committee level. I just don't think that city government should be responsible for picking and choosing favorites in the marketplace. I think that this is something that this is where we get a little picky and choosy of who gets to have what and which building gets to be demolished and who doesn't. It just seems like favoritism to me, and I just can't support this. So I'm going to be voting against it. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Oh, yeah. Okay, sorry, didn't see you. I'm trying to do this now.
I did hit the button. I don't know if it shows.
Alderman Paul, go ahead.
Thank you.
There's a button anymore.
Couple things. I mean, I'm against this, generally speaking, because we don't have a developers agreement, which really concerns me. But one thing, first go with process. I brought it up in committee that this grant that this is contingent upon hasn't went through the grant policy and been approved by committee. So I guess my question I'd ask, Director Nyforth wasn't familiar with that policy, and I hope I sent it through the system. I don't know if you received it. I tried to do it through the email system, but I don't know if you had gotten it. But my question is, for Attorney Rashid, I mean, process-wise, if we have a grant policy that this would need to be approved on, should that not be done first? Because this whole project for the destruction or the demolition of the Millview property is contingent entirely on the grant, because currently as structured, the amount of money is not sufficient to cover this demolition without that grant.
Before Attorney Rashid talks, I just wanted to mention, if we don't get the grant, we wouldn't have the funds. So I did, after the meeting last week, I did go and find the policy. And since it's $25,000 or more, there is an approval to apply for the grant. The department head can make that determination with notification to the mayor and the finance director. If we would receive it, then we would have to let the committee of jurisdiction know. So that's what is in the grant policy. So that's how I interpreted it.
I was understanding that to apply for it had to come through committee if it's over a certain dollar amount, like
$25,000 or over budgeted items, approval to apply for grant, department head with notification to the mayor and finance director.
If I may, I think you're confusing with, this was a budgeted item versus an unbudgeted item. So it was in the CIP.
Well, when you say budgeted and there's $100,000 left in the borrowing, there's not a line item for these type of things, I guess,
The extra 100,000 was for the demolishing of that.
It wasn't spelled out that way, though. I don't believe in the CIP.
I'd have to look at the CIP, but there's 2 line items: the acquisition of the warehouse and then land assembly.
Site prep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Site prep, thank you.
That being said, then, that I'm corrected on that. Then this motion, it doesn't even give the history. We paid $2.2 million for this property that we have, and we don't have any developers agreement because we're not been fortunate enough to have that. So, there's no, in my opinion, no rush to do this. As even Director Nyforth said, it's just she's going to apply for the grant. It's going to sit there. We might not even get it. I don't see the need to tear down a perfectly good building. We can, in theory, repurpose if nothing comes through. So I will not be supporting this motion, because why tear down something good when you have no reason to, in my opinion. Thank you.
Alderman Steiner?
So in terms of the concept of a municipal government or any government picking winners and losers, I actually agree with Alderman Defferting in regards to that, but that's not what this is. To me, this is a city-owned property that is non-productive. It's basically sitting there deteriorating, and it's an opportunity for us to make it productive, make it tax-paying, and all we're doing is basically creating a site, preparing it so that private enterprise can move in and become a productive part of the tax base, which I'm in all favor of. And that aspect is not unusual in any city across the entire country for, I mean, not only decades, certainly since World War II, but if you even go back to the founding of Philadelphia, we're coming up on 250-year anniversary, that was laid out. It's actually a planning example of kind of an early adoption of innovation where the city invested in regards to making the area conducive to settlers and attracting them to that area. And I don't see this as any different. I think it's well in the history of municipalities and the United States itself. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Alderman Paulno.
Thank you, Mayor. I wasn't going to comment on this, but the history, but I think now the history is important to go through because Council President Steiner said this is like deteriorating building. This building was assessed at $1.6 million. We did first discuss this project in July, and then August of 2025 was purchased by John Bergstrom for $2.2 million. So that, at that time, then we bought it from John Bergstrom for $2.2 million. So I think it's important because this was a functioning business. Part of that $2.2 million was intended per discussion of that would help move that existing business. It was existing business that was tax-paying entity that with this development that hasn't come forth, we had purchased and now we're going to level it. So I guess I don't think it's fair to say that this is just, I just want the record reflected. It's not just a deteriorating building that's been sitting there for years. It's sitting there empty because we purchased it. We purchased it for $600,000 more than it was assessed at. It was assessed at $1.6 million, and the city paid John Bergstrom $2.2 million, and now we're going to tear down this building. I don't think that's a proper way to do government, and I don't think that's a proper way to spend tax dollars. Thank you.
Alderman Defferting.
Thank you, Mayor. And I want to echo that too, is because oftentimes the city purchases properties and it does just sit there, and that has happened again. I mean, that was evident in regards to some of the properties on South Commercial Street. There was a lot of properties that were just sitting there because it was this whole idea that there's a future development. Well, what if the future development never comes? And so I think that's the thing is like if it is just sitting there, then the worth is going to go down, and then somebody will buy it for a lesser value. That's how the market works. That's the free market. That's exactly how the market is supposed to operate. So this is just a pure interference with the market. So philosophically, I just can't support this. So thank you.
Any further discussion?
Mayor. Thank you. I'll try to keep this brief. In the past, when we looked at building up North Commercial Street, we made some mistakes back in those days, and we didn't listen to our city staff that said we should keep these buildings and keep those things, and some deterioration happened. When we looked at Wisconsin Avenue in the late 70s and early 80s, we used a multitude of tools to try to save our downtown. One of them was Future Neenah, one of them was TIF. There was a lot of different things. It was speculative in nature, but it was based on good science. It was based on folks who know what the world needs to do to prep us in order to have a development come in. And the 800-pound gorilla is when we did the industrial park. There was no magic wand that what we have today, which is phenomenal, would exist if we didn't plan and piecemeal and purchase and have an articulated plan to move forward. Nothing is given. I won't disagree with that. But the history of the city of Neenah with what we've done for ours to future growth, I will bank on our department heads and what we have shown for the past at least 50 years of success any day of the week. Thank you, Mayor.
All right. Any further discussion? If none, Please indicate your vote.
Sorry.
I should have.
It didn't pop up. She can vote.
Alderman Erickson, do you want to just give me your vote?
Yes. Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Motion passes.
Okay, item number 2, committee recommends council approve resolution 2026-06 for the Compliance Maintenance Annual Report, CMAR, for reporting year 2025, and I so move.
Motion's been made by Alderman Weber,
Second?
seconded by Alderman Paulino. Any discussion? Seeing none, please indicate your vote.
There it goes.
Yay.
Alderman, it didn't record for you.
Me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want to just give it to me?
Yes. Aye.
You're special today.
Yeah, you're the star tonight.
All right, did we?
You have to hit save.
I did hit save.
Okay.
Both saw me.
Last 2 weeks, it was Jeff.
Oh, Alderman Paul, no, you didn't register either.
You have to hit save.
Well, it came up.
Don't get sassy.
Goes on here, he did.
All right,
Was it an aye?
Yes.
motion passes.
Okay, on to item 3. Committee recommends council approve the intergovernmental cooperation agreement with the town of Neenah for the 2026 Wooden Shoe Road resurfacing with funding to come from the Public Infrastructure Fund balance, and I so move.
There's been a motion by Alderman Weber,
Second.
second by Alderman Ellis. Any discussion? Alderman Paul.
Thank you, Mayor. I had voted against this committee. I would really, in my perfect world, because of the lack of sidewalks and my concern on Wooden Shoe, because of the development. And I've also discussed this with Bosch Michael, trying to get a communication going with town of Neenah. And I know the big entity that will be, because of the past is the past and feelings are what they are. But I think this is something that we really could leverage, in theory, to help them to communicate more, to get more of a discussion on that corridor. My fear is if anybody's drove on Wooden Shoe in the last 2 months even, I think it's dangerous. There's no sidewalks, there's no trails, there's a very short shoulder. If you go out there, you see mothers with strollers. It's amazing what you see on that road. So, Director Kaiser, were you able to discuss, because I know Attorney Rashid has been on vacation, but had you been able to discuss whether or not we would be in legal peril by tabling this and then maybe utilizing that as a way to get discussions?
I provided a synopsis to City Attorney Rashid for his opinion.
Yes. I felt that well, I understand your thought. It's a policy decision whether you want to use that as negotiating leverage to get them to behave better, if I can put it that way.
Yeah.
With us
Yes.
in the future. But that's up to you guys to decide. I think it would cause more problems legally than it would solve for us to say, oh, you didn't give us enough time, so we're not going to sign this agreement. Everybody, I think, seems to agree this road needs to be done. The share in our community is smaller, lesser. So I felt that it probably wasn't a good idea to withhold the agreement for what some would say is a technical reason. I take your point, but that's more of a decision whether you folks want to use that or you don't want to use that. I'm not sure that it would improve relations with the town, but that's for you guys to decide.
Thank you. I begrudgingly will support this agreement.
Alderman Steiner.
Not to belabor the point, but what are the legal ramifications? Because I appreciate Alderman Paul now raising this. I think it is a good point. It's a good question. I'm just interested in knowing what would happen if it was tabled.
Well, the project wouldn't get done, I guess. I don't know that it's so much a legal question as it is, a construction question and a policy, as I stated earlier.
Okay.
It was posed to me that I don't know who it was, maybe it was Bill, maybe it was others, but concerned that because they didn't give us early enough heads up, that maybe we shouldn't cooperate. That's the way it was kind of put to me, but, so.
I think it was more of the discussion in regards to the sidewalk, and there wasn't an opportunity because, it is in regards to your point, but also it didn't provide the city an opportunity to talk about the sidewalk as well, right? As kind of a discussion, there wasn't effectively enough time to have that discussion.
I guess depending on how deep in the weeds you'd want to get, their work does go through city right away, city road right away. So hypothetically, we could prevent that from happening, and then we're left with 90% of paved road and 10% of road as it is. So I don't know that that's a win for us.
Right.
Which, with that clarification, if I may, Alderman Paulno, that could create a legal liability issue, right? If you've got one weird side of the road and the other, I don't know, I get the concern, but I'm not sure that this is the hill to die on, but that's just me.
Just to dovetail on then, moving forward, I know Director Kaiser, and I sense the mayor as well, has expressed a little frustration that there isn't more rapport to have a conversation. I think you've mentioned it, that they were pretty much a closed door on that whole concept. So in that, for instance, would it make sense for us to consider, like say, for a director or a public works department to put together a sidewalk rating on just our section to see where it falls? Am I just thinking it's unsafe when it isn't, or it really is? How do we get this on, at least on the council's radar, maybe during CIP, to say, okay, how bad is this section? I guess, Director Kaiser, I look for you for guidance on that, if that makes sense.
Well, this section has not been evaluated against the criteria that were developed in whatever it was, 2015 or 2016. There's not a lot out here, so the scoring in that system favored attractions that were relatively nearby. School, shopping, employment centers. There's none of that here to really help it score. There were some physical condition aspects to it, spacing, but it probably would not score that great.
That indicates we have an issue with our rating, but I guess my concern is that we're going to wake up one day and they're going to see in the paper that somebody got killed on that street, because if you go out there, it's bad. I just want to try to find some place to have a discussion, and it's frustrating.
In light of what you just said, Alderman Polno, doesn't that kind of answer it for us legally? I don't know a lot about this, admittedly, but the facts. But if it is that bad, that would, I think, mitigate towards moving forward, even despite how we feel about how it was proposed to us. But the bigger issue is, how do we improve that relationship? And that's been discussed a lot in the 4 years I've been here. We haven't quite solved it yet.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote.
I got nothing popping up.
Okay. Do you want to just verbalize?
Aye.
All right, motion passes.
Okay, item number 4, committee recommends council approve the proposal from TRC Environmental Corporation for preparation of a supplemental site assessment for DNR BRRTS activity number 02-71-59922, South Commercial Street right-of-way, with funding to come from the Public Infrastructure Fund balance, and I so move.
Motion by Alderman Weber. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconds. Any discussion? Alderman Palmer.
Thank you, Mayor. Now, Director Kaiser, if I remember correctly from the DNR letter that we received in relation to this, we have deadlines, like this is one of the deadlines, and the next one is to actually have this company would do the whole plan, and that would tell us, okay, we need to do X, Y, Z to remediate any potential findings. Is that correct?
Yeah, the next step, as you mentioned, this is the first deadline, is bringing somebody on board to do the work. The next deadline, I believe, is 30 days from now to provide DNR with a scope of services or scope of work for addressing the detection that was made out there. And then work will progress following that.
Yeah, it's my concern because the first deadline per letter was June 20th. And then this next deadline is June 30th, which I think is a pretty tight deadline to get this put together. But since we're already past the first deadline, are we going to get any blowback?
I made our DNR rep aware of what the schedule was for review and approval of the proposal.
Okay, and we're in good shape that way?
Yes.
So the next, will this company have enough time? Because they're going to have to dig a hole or drill a hole in a brand new road, which isn't fun. Correct? Is that correct? Commercial, they got to drill a hole in it?
Yeah, but actually their next step is really submitting to the DNR the scope of the work that they intend to do on the site.
Okay.
And getting approval for that scope before they move ahead with any actual physical work.
So the physical work will be another cost.
The physical work will be after that next approval. It is included in the proposal cost.
Oh, okay. I was fearful they were going to have another bill. But so they can surmise it's going to cost a certain amount to remediate it, even if they don't know what's down there?
Yeah, they've developed their scope based on what information they have to this point. So they know what amount of work they think they'll need to do out there. Now,
Okay.
if other things are found in the course of doing that other work, then there could be additional costs after that.
I'm visioning the words change order coming in our future.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote.
Hey, we got them all.
Hey, looking up. There we go. All right.
Hit save.
Okay, item number 5, committee recommends council authorize the Neenah Police Department to proceed with the recommended vendor to complete the locker room and evidence room upgrades, not to exceed the overall project budget of $500,000, with funding coming from the facilities capital improvement budget, and I so move.
There's been a motion by Alderman Weber,
Second.
second by Alderman Palmer. Any discussion? Seeing none, please indicate your vote. All right, 2 for 2. Motion passes.
All right, and item number 6, committee recommends council approve the Neenah Joint School District, City of Neenah, and Neenah Police Department Safety Resource Officer contract for July 2026 to June 30th, 2029. And I so move.
There's been a motion. Is there a second? Second, I'm sorry, motion by Alderman Weber, second by Alderman Linsky. Any discussion? Just a quick shout out to Director Rasmussen for looking over the contract and working through and the savings we did. We're now in line with Fox Crossing with our CSO, so thank you for doing that. I appreciate that. All right, seeing no more conversation, please indicate your vote. All right, motion passes.
That concludes my report.
Thank you for your report. Moving on to Finance and Personnel Committee meeting of June 22nd. Chairman Erickson.
Thank you, Mayor. Reporting out from the Finance and Personnel Committee meeting of June 22nd, 2026. Minutes can be found on the city website. Item number 1, the committee recommends council to approve the selection of USI as the city's benefit consultant, and I so move.
There's been a motion by Alderman Erickson.
Second.
Second by Alderman Paulnow. Any discussion on this? I had the wonderful distinction of being a part of those with Director Barber, and it was really informative, and I appreciate all the work that your office did on that to get us to that point. Alderman Paulnow.
Thank you, Mayor. Director Barber, can you explain, I think this is a good move. I was just wondering, will this have any impact on the market review? I think it's market review, market study conversations?
Not directly.
Okay.
So the market review has nothing to do with benefits, but I anticipate things that will come out of the market review that we need money for will be provided with savings by this move.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, please indicate your vote. All right, motion passes. All right, thank you for your reports. Moving on to Neenah National Fire and Rescue Joint Finance and Personnel Committee, Alderman Paulnow.
Thank you, Mayor. The minutes for this meeting can be found on the city website. The committee recommends the cities of Neenah and Menasha Common Councils approve the Urban Search and Rescue Emergency Response Service Agreement with the State of Wisconsin Department of Military Affairs from July 1st, 2026 to June 30th, 2029. And that's a move.
There's been a motion by Alderman Paulnow,
Second.
second by Alderman Bruno. Any discussion?
Mayor, if I can.
Yeah.
Chief Tesh, could you come? I think this is a cool program. It kind of goes below the water. There's a lot of benefits for our guys who go down there, get training, and we get reimbursed for that training, which is kind of a hidden benefit. Can you kind of explain what this is and the benefits?
Yeah, thank you. Glad you asked, so I can talk this up a little bit. That was just a fancy way to say this is our members for our Task Force 1 team. So we have 6 people that are on the state's Task Force 1 team. We have to have an agreement with them on how they train because they do reimburse us. And then also they're covered under the state for workers' comp issues and things like that. So this agreement comes due every 3 years. But this last time around, what they did is raise our reimbursement rate from $55 an hour to $60 an hour. And they also put in escalators for inflation that'll automatically just happen, so they won't just stay flat. And then really define that our people will be covered by the state under workers' comp if something happens while they're out working for the team. So that's what the update on this agreement is.
And also, they get an exponential amount of good learning, basically, correct?
Yeah, thanks again. Yeah, our guys go down there and they become basically train the trainers, and then they take that knowledge back and give it to their shifts, their crews. So it's a good way for departments that are lucky enough to have people on this team. It's a good way for them to get their people trained to instructor levels to take it back home.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, please indicate your vote. Motion passes.
Committee recommends the City of Neenah and Menasha Common Councils approve the purchase of extradition tools and associated components for a cost not to exceed $225,000, and I'd so move.
Motion by Alderman Paulnow.
Second.
Second by Alderman Weber. Any discussion? Seeing none, indicate your vote.
Committee recommends both Cities of Neenah and Menasha Common Councils approve the proposed 2027 cost distribution formula, with the City of Neenah's share being 60.68% and the City of Menasha's share being 38.32%, and I would so move.
Motion by Alderman Paulnow.
Second.
Second by Alderman Bruno.
And, Mayor, if I could, just because we do have a new member of our council, could Director Rasmussen, can you kind of explain how this is tabulated? And I think there's now 5 factors.
Still 4 factors yet.
4 factors?
Yes. So what we do is we first look at the populations of each each city, Neenah, Menasha, and then we get a percentage there weighted by 25%. And we always use the Department of Administration Census Bureau census for that. Then we also use the equalized values of both cities to get another percentage. And we do also, within our equalized values, add in Alliant Energy for Neenah, and we add in UW Fox Valley for Menasha, because those are big properties that are not included in our equalized values. And then thirdly, we use the service calls per city. And then lastly, we look at the square miles per city. And then we weight that by 25% each to get our percentage.
Excellent, thank you.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Motion passes.
That concludes my report, Mayor.
Thank you for your motion. Moving on to reports of special committees and liaisons and various special projects committees. Plan Commission, information only items, there's no report. Moving on to Board of Public Works, June 25th, Chairman Ellis.
Thank you, Mayor. Committee recommends council on final pay request contract 525 hot mixed asphalt repairs MCC Inc. in the amount of $3,803.10, and I so move.
There's been a motion by Alderman Ellis. Is there a second?
Second.
Alderman Newman, thank you. Any discussion? Alderman Paulno.
Thank you, Mayor. Director Kaiser, could you just give us a basically 50,000-foot view on this overall contract and if we're above or below budget on that?
The final contract amount was below the initially bid contract. We got a little late last year with getting some repairs done, so we closed this contract out and we'll roll some of those repairs into this year's work.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. All right, motion passes. Moving on to Sustainable Neenah Committee meeting. Alderman Linsky.
Thank you, Mayor. Nothing to report at this time.
Thank you very much for your non-report. Moving on to Bergstrom Mahler Museum, Alderman Bruno.
Thank you, Mayor. So the Bergstrom Mahler Museum of Glass Board of Directors met on Wednesday, June 24. Renovations were done ahead and under budget. Myron Construction has been a fantastic partner. The public campaign fundraiser, Our Time to Shine, launched last February with a goal of between 100,000 to 125,000, raised over 250,000, so it was a big success, with just over 70 donors. And the auction Catching Fire raised almost 70,000 with 155 collectors participating. The ribbon cutting ceremony went well last Friday, June 26, as well as the Family Day on Saturday, June 27. Save the date for our next event, the Glass Art Festival, on August 8. And that concludes my report.
Thank you for your report. Moving on to Landmarks Commission meeting of June 22nd. Alderman Bruno.
Thank you, Mayor. Me again. The Landmark Commission met on Monday, June 29, for a special meeting regarding the renovation of the Kimberley Point Park Lighthouse. The City of Neenah Historic Preservation Ordinance requires that projects requiring exterior building permits on landmark properties are considered by the Landmark Commission for a certificate of appropriateness. Because the proposal exterior work will preserve the building by replacing existing materials with matching or in-kind material, the Commission agreed on the certificate of appropriateness contingent on Wisconsin Historical Society approval. And I'm happy to inform you that it's not contingent anymore because we got the approval from the Wisconsin Historical Society. And that concludes my report.
That's great news.
Yeah.
Moving on to Committee on Aging, Alderman Newman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have no report, and I will defer to you as you were at that meeting.
I was going to say,
But we're
that would
excited
be
to
cool
start.
if you were there.
Thank you.
I want to give you a little indication. I visited the Committee on Aging, and it's a group I'm not sure that many people know a lot about, and had a great conversation about, and maybe selfishly because I have a mother that's 81, and I asked a lot of questions about what could be and how we could be serving our population much better in that way. And there was just some conversations between Alderman Newman and I, and he got put on a committee, so he'll be representing and hopefully give us a little bit more understanding what that committee's been doing and promoting some of the awesome work they have been doing. So,
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm excited to start. So.
yeah, wonderful. All right. Any petitions?
No petitions.
All right. Moving on to any council directives. Seeing none. I'm sorry, I didn't want to be that fast. Any unfinished business? Seeing none. Any new business or future agenda items? Seeing none. Moving on. All right. I will entertain a motion to enter into closed session.
Move into closed session.
There's been a motion by Alderman Weber. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Newman. At this point, we'll be moving into closed session, so yes. I'm sorry, hold on, reading the reasons, hold on. The Common Council may convene into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin Statute 19.851E for the purpose of deliberating, negotiating the purchase of public property, the investing of public funds, and the conducting of other specified public businesses as competitive or bargaining reasons required closed session for call properties in the 1200 and 1300 blocks of South Commercial. Sorry. Are we doing each individually?
I would recommend, in light of earlier comments tonight, both by council and members of the public, I would recommend that we treat these as 3 separate sessions. We can go one into the next, but otherwise it's going to be more complicated.
You bet. All right. So the first one, sorry about that, is Section A that I just read. Are we good for voting on that?
We are.
All right. Please indicate your votes.
Point of order.
Yeah, point of
order. If you vote, like on the first one, that would put us in closed session. So then, would we come out and then vote?
Yes.
Okay, because it's not noticed that way, is it? It's noticed just back to back, and then has at the end, it says, it might go in open pursuant to statutes to act on an item discussed in closed session. So
correct.
So would we need something on the agenda to do what we're doing? I guess I'm confused. I've never had it where we voted independently on closed session, because once we vote on the first one, we're in closed session, so everybody has to leave.
Correct.
So that kind of defeats the purpose of transparency on how we're going to vote on closed session for the next one, doesn't it?
Well, whoever's here and seeing that has the opportunity to stay in the foyer if they want, and
Then we invite them back in, so then we can vote?
Certainly, yeah. I haven't experienced this either, so.
Okay.
We could do it the other way too, and then you're gonna have a discussion about all 3 points, and then you'll vote on, 2 or 1 may pass and 1 might not, but we're still gonna be in closed session, so.
Can we make could somebody make a motion to revise this to an open session item?
There's been a motion on this first one.
Okay. Well, I'm asking because I don't know.
I'm just saying.
Well, if that motion was seconded, then we got to deal with that first, so.
Okay, because I'm in favor of the first one, not the second one, so I guess I'm just trying to figure out this process.
So we're kind of going through it here, yeah.
But we can't, since we got a motion and a second now, that card is played. So, I mean, I would have made a motion to the second one to put that in open session, whether or not that passed or not, then we can move on. But now, since we have something, does that follow?
You could make a motion to amend, and then you would deal with that.
How would I amend it? Because we're voting on the first one, not the second one.
A motion to amend can always be made.
On the item that's on the table. The item that's on the table is the first closed session.
Right.
For 1200 and 1300. It's not the second one.
You can put us back in, what he's saying is you can put us back in open session, right?
So.
It would have to be when we vote on the next one.
Right.
Correct, when we're in closed session. So that kind of defeats the whole purpose.
I think we vote back into open session.
But it's not noticed like that, so we can't do that technically.
You could
So it's not noticed to do what we're,
put it up.
No, you can't do that because it wasn't, point of order. You can't put that one into
Tammy
open.
has a point of order.
Yes.
You can't put that into open session because it wasn't noticed as an open session item. It was noticed as a closed session item. If people would have, if it was noticed as an open session item, more people may have came, and so that's not correct.
I agree with Alderman Erickson. If people vote it down, then it's voted down, and then we can decide, you can decide how you want to discuss Flock next, for example, or the other two.
So, point of order. So, just so I'm understanding this correctly, this vote is to put that one particular discussion item in closed session, and then once that discussion item is finished, then at that point we will discuss what we will reopen into. We'll make a motion to go into open session, and then we will do another vote, a second vote, to go into closed session to discuss this. Is that correct?
Correct. That's what's being proposed.
Okay.
And then
so
we
this
would do it
vote-
a third time
Okay,
if necessary.
So, all right, I just want to make sure I'm understanding this correctly. So this vote is just for that one single item, and then we make a motion to reopen this the session, and then we'll take another vote to whether we go into closed session for the next discussion item. Correct? Okay.
Point of order again, the agenda is not noticed that way. There's nothing in between those two items, those action items saying we're coming out. So that's improper.
Point of order. It is noticed correctly because it says the council may reconvene into open session pursuant to Wisconsin Stat 1985-2 to consider or act on any item or items discussed in closed session.
But we're not going to discuss the second one.
And, pardon me, item B does not say that the common council may remain in closed session. It says may convene into closed session. So that makes it a separate item.
Any further discussion? All right, seeing none, we're voting on going into closed session to discuss Section 8, excuse me. Please indicate your vote.
I don't have a,
We voted already.
I didn't have one to vote on.
I voted. I apologize.
No, Tammy
Too
did
many
not.
point of orders.
Tammy did not. So we don't have a vote for Alderman Erickson or Alderman Paulno.
Yeah, nothing up on my screen.
Nothing's up on the screen.
Okay.
Did you hit save?
I tried save, but it wasn't there.
I'll tell you what, we'll cancel it. And start over.
We're going to do it again?
You have it now?
No.
I have it.
Where'd it go? It was up and now it's.
There we go.
You don't.
You should all have it
It
now.
doesn't, I don't have it.
Still don't?
No.
How about a roll call?
Yeah, the roll call.
All those in favor of going into closed session to discuss Section A, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition?
Nay.
We are now in closed session with 1 nay and 8.
Yay.
For 8A, right?
The City of Neenah is pleased to provide video recordings of City Council meetings. Neenah residents can get information about City Council meetings, City Committee meetings, meeting agendas, and other documents from the City website, www.neenahgov.org. Neenah residents can express their opinions about city issues by contacting the mayor's office, contacting their city alderman, or completing the electronic feedback form on the city website. All public portions of the meetings are recorded in entirety and are not edited.